Oliver Winchester was originally a clothing manufacturer, but switched to the burgeoning arms industry when he bought a controlling stake in the Volcanic Rifle Company in the late 1850s. By the 1860s, the newly named Winchester Rifle Company had started producing a novelty gun that would change the world: the repeating rifle. The 1866 Winchester repeating rifle was the company's first smash hit. A Turkish army equipped with the weapon fended off 4 separate sieges at Plevna by a Russian and Romanian army using single-shot rifles. The Russians eventually captured the city, but the heavy losses sustained were recognized by all, and a new European arms race began as empires began scrambling to make their own repeating rifles. The Winchester Company would next achieve big domestic success in its 1873 model. History would remember it as the gun that won the West. It was calibered so travelers and cowboys only needed to carry one type of ammunition. The 1873 model and its later renditions were used by many of the heroes of the Wild West, from Buffalo Bill and Annie Oakley to Teddy Roosevelt to Geronimo. It was used by military and individuals up until World War II and paved the way for many of the machine guns and weapons still used today. But while nations and empires coveted the gun, it became the center of one woman's nightmare and strange obsession. She built a monument of confusion, winding halls and sprawling rooms to confuse the army of the dead created by the weapon. This is the story of the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester was born in 1839 in New Haven, Connecticut. She was an excellent student and was said to excel at math and science, as well as musical composition. She would remain scholarly her entire life and was said to speak 4 different languages. She was a small woman, only 4 foot 10 inches in height, but was also said to be the belle of New Haven and was considered one of New Haven's local beauties. She ran in an upper-class circle and likely knew her eventual husband from childhood, William Winchester. William was Oliver Winchester's only son, and so was in line to inherit his budding arms business. He married Sarah on September 30th, 1862. She was just 23 years old. Not much is known of the two's personal life, but it is known that they had a child in 1866. Their child had an issue with digesting calories and passed away at only 6 weeks old. In the 1880s, tuberculosis swept through New Haven. Oliver Winchester passed away, and so did Sarah's mother. A year later, tuberculosis killed her husband as well, leaving her a widow with a massive fortune and a 50% stake in the rifle company. In today's money, it was roughly $575 million. Her controlling stake earned her roughly $28,000 a day. Grief-stricken, strapped with cash, and looking to start anew, Sarah moved out to California and reconnected with distant relatives. In 1866, she bought a 160-acre plot of land in what is now the city of San Jose. The house on the property was an 8-room cottage that the locals referred to as Yonda Villa. But as the years continued and rooms continued to be added, it would soon become known as the Winchester Mystery House. For the next 38 years, Sarah would continue to add rooms to the home. Eventually, the 8-room cottage turned into a sprawling manor of over 160 rooms. To the locals of San Jose, Sarah was seen as a recluse. She rarely left the strange home she continuously built and never spoke about her strange project. The house rose to the height of 7 stories, included 40 bedrooms, 2 ballrooms, as well as 47 fireplaces, over 10,000 panes of glass, 17 chimneys, with evidence of 2 others, 2 basement levels, and 3 elevators. But the size wasn't the strangest detail. Sarah hired no architects. She directed the construction of each and every room herself. The results of these rooms many times were confusing and strange. Stairways would lead to nowhere, and their steps spaced out in an uneven manner. Doors would open to walls, and other times they would open to sheer drops. Trapdoors and windows looking into the hallways were spaced throughout this now maze-like home. It is said that work never ceased on the building. Construction crews often worked through the night at Sarah's request. She purchased over 20,000 gallons of paint and had several modern implements rarely seen in other homes at the time. Gas-powered lights controlled by buttons, electric elevators, and a heated shower in Sarah's personal bathroom. When an earthquake hit the city in 1906, much damage was done to the home. The top 3 floors fell, and to this day, the house remains only 4 stories high. Many other rooms shifted and had to be repaired and changed. And so the house became even more bizarre. A grand ballroom with a safe hidden in its walls, a rounded attic room known as the Witch's Hat, and a strange room with 1 entrance but 3 exits. This room would become known as the Seance Room. Construction would continue on the home until the day Sarah died in 1922. And while the construction continued, rumors about the strange structure and its owner continued as well. The talk of the town was that Sarah was a spiritualist. Many believed that her massive home was built to confuse the spirits that haunted her and her family. It is believed that thousands of ghosts, killed by the rifles made by her husband's family, had descended on the property and were tormenting her. The reason for the constant construction was that Sarah was trying to confuse these spirits by constantly adding strange rooms and features, hoping that they'd get lost in the labyrinth. Others claimed that she was not so fearful of the spirits and communicated with them nightly. Her neighbors would report that they would hear a bell ring out in the middle of the night, once at midnight and then again at 2 a.m. It is believed that these bells signal the beginning and the end of Sarah's nightly communications with the spirits, as the controls to the bell tower were situated next to her seance room. The room has 1 entrance that can be opened from the outside, a trap door leading to an 8-foot drop down into the kitchen, and a 1-way secret door leading to another strange darkened room. A few months after Sarah's death, the house was opened to the public as a mystery-themed attraction, and visitors began to experience the ghostly phenomenon for themselves. In the witch's room, people have claimed to feel an intense energy, and some staff and visitors refuse to enter the room at all. Strange shadows have been seen walking through the hallways and disappearing through the walls and those impossible doors. Strange noises and voices are heard echoing through the labyrinth of halls to this day. The house was turned into a tourist attraction just 5 months after Sarah's death and remains open to this day. The once 160-acre plot has been reduced to only 4.5 today, but most of the sprawling house remains intact. Several rooms remain shut, and remnants of the 1906 earthquake are visible, but much of the house is restored and maintained in the manner that Sarah had designed. It is also a popular location for physics and TV shows like Ghost Adventures, and others who have claimed to experience strange activity in the home. But others have claimed that the stories are fabricated. One biographer of Sarah Winchester doubts many of the ghostly stories. First, if Sarah was a spiritualist, she wasn't a very good one. Most seances of the time were social events that took place with many people. No other spiritualist of the time reported conversing with Sarah or attending her seances. The biographer also calls into question the idea that Sarah felt guilt about her husband's gun company. Her husband actually did not control the company very long, only for a year, most of which he was ill and not working. She also proudly displayed several of the weapons in her home and had no issue spending the thousands of dollars she made every day off the company. Other skeptics claim it is simply the strange construction and impossible architect that inspires these haunting legends. But Sarah was a recluse. No one can say for sure what her motives were, as she never spoke them aloud. Yet her house still stands, a monument of strangeness. The Winchester rifle remains too. Modern reproductions can still be purchased, and original models still survive. One such was found leaning against a tree in the Great Basin National Park in 2014. Based on the date on the loaded cartridge, the rifle had been sitting there for over 100 years. The rifle now sits in a museum, and Sarah's strange house is a museum itself. It too will last another 100 years and continue to remain a mystery. That is it for this one. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe. This will help my channel grow. If you have a future story suggestion or would like to contact me directly, you can do so by sending me an email at creepyunsolvedmedia@gmail.com. Looking for more content? Be sure to visit creepyunsolved.com, where you'll find podcast episodes, YouTube videos, and the Creepy Unsolved blog. Until next time, this is Dylan signing off. I look forward to your comments below.